We have a very distinguished visitor with us today, along with his wife, who's a University of Texas graduate, and his daughter, who's working in the Senate. Members, I rise to introduce a man who will give today's invocation and bless the work of the Senate on Friday the 13th, Pastor Samuel B. Cowles from Memphis, Tennessee. I'm sure all our hearts go out for the people in Memphis with the natural disaster they're dealing with. Pastor Cowles has served as the pastor of the Monumental Baptist Church in Memphis, Tennessee for 51 years and serves as a member of the board of the National Civil Rights Museum and is a former member of the Committee on Religious Freedom Abroad and panelist on the White House Conference on Hate Crimes. Pastor Cowles is a nationally recognized resource on civil rights. He helped lead the effort to fight in the South to integrate schools, city buses, and bring down the walls of segregation in restaurants, department stores, and workplaces. Pastor Cowles is an eyewitness to the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. In fact, he is the only living witness who was on the balcony and shared the last hour of Dr. King's life. He was featured in the Academy Award-nominated HBO documentary, The Witness, from the balcony of room 306, which tells the story, of that tragic day. Last night, about 40 of our interns watched that documentary with me. It was interesting to see those young kids who would watch that 33-minute documentary and not leave the room and ask questions about what was Martin Luther King talking about in a hotel room in Memphis, Tennessee, with 3 preachers. And if you ever get a chance to hear Billy Cowles tell that story, you should do that. One last point. He was asked at one point when Nelson Mandela toured that hotel room, what was his reaction? And he made the comment that, of course, Mr. Mandela wanted to know every detail of what Martin Luther King talked about in that last hour. And then at the end of that discussion, he just wept. And to think of someone who endured as much as Mr. Mandela, to just be in awe of being in that hotel room, number 306, at the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, Tennessee, is a very moving experience. Members, would you please welcome the man who married me and my wife, the Reverend Billy Cowles, to the Texas Senate.
All on the floor in the gallery, please rise for the invocation to be delivered by Reverend Billy Cowles, Monumental Baptist Church of Memphis, Tennessee.
Members and guests, it is said that Robert Louis Stevenson was a man who never enjoyed good health. Even as a child, he was puny and frail. One of his favorite pastimes was to look out of his window and see an old man with a ladder. He would take his ladder to a pole, climb up, light the light, come down, take the ladder to another pole, light the light, and come down. One day his nurse asked him, she said, "Robert, what are you doing?" He said, "I'm watching that old man knock holes in the darkness." Because everywhere he went with that ladder and light, it appeared to him that there was a hole knocked in the darkness. And there is this battle between darkness and light, always one trying to win over the other. And so I suggest, as humbly as I can, dear Lord, I suggest that with all that we are involved in, all that we're doing, we ought to spend some time knocking holes in the darkness. Knock holes in the darkness of ignorance, so that we know who we are and whose we are and where we are. And so we knock holes in the darkness of indifference, so that we become caretakers of us all. All will agree. I would hope that all would agree that you shouldn't light a light and hide it under a bushel, but put it on a candlestick so those who walk in darkness can find their way. There is no value in placing it under a bushel. One thing to remember again, dear Lord, as we come to you. As long as one candle burns, the darkness cannot win. Amen.